Welcome to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
Chuck Conrad with a kickoff. Roy has a strong leg, end over end. Sanders takes it 1 yard deep to the end zone. Up the middle of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. He's at the 40. He's at 45, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, 45, 40, 50, 10, 5, touchdown. Outright. Just like last year, the same story. Roll out.
Here's your host, Chris Houston.
Welcome back to the Heisman Trophy podcast. I'm so glad you joined us today because I think this episode is going to blow your mind. And that's because we're going to talk to perhaps the most interesting player in college football. His name is Kansei Matsuzawa, and he's a kicker for the Hawai'i Rainbow Warriors. The Tokyo native and former high school soccer player began kicking at age 20 after taking a trip to the United States and attending an NFL game between the LA Rams and Oakland Raiders. His experience there drove him to pursue a kicking career, and he turned to YouTube to teach himself how to kick. Matsuzawa sent videos of himself kicking to colleges all across America, and he finally got an opportunity at Hawai'i College in Ohio. He kicked there for 2 years while also learning English, eventually ending up at Hawaii as a walk-on prior to the 2023 season. Eventually, his talent started to shine through. In 2024, he was 12 of 16 on his field goals and made all 32 of his extra points. And that season set the stage for what is shaping up to be one of the best seasons by a kicker in recent memory. Matsuzawa is 19 out of 19 so far on the season through 7 games. He is on pace to break the NCAA record for field goals made in a single season that is currently held by Billy Bennett of Georgia in 2003, and Bennett had 31 field goals that year. The kicking sensation has been dubbed the Tokyo Toe. He's been getting a ton of media attention and attention in the islands and back in Japan. Indeed, his number 17 jersey is flying off the shelves at the UH bookstore, and apparently you can get the jersey in both black and white with his last name written in kanji, which are the characters used in the Japanese writing system. Matsuzawa is the first place kicker to come on the Heisman Trophy podcast. In our first season, we did talk to a punter, Tory Taylor of Iowa. But Matsuzawa is the first field goal kicker, and we're really excited to talk to him. It's really just amazing how he was able to make this goal for himself and go on YouTube and not only learn how to kick, but also learn how to speak English. Imagine finding yourself in a strange land where you didn't understand what people were saying. And then imagine trying to also learn football lingo, which is a specialized version of English. For him to be as good as he is after starting where he started is really just kind of unbelievable. Why not consider a field goal kicker for the Heisman Trophy? After all, they use their feet, and the word foot, it's right there in the title of the sport. You know, a lot of positions have difficulty competing for the Heisman because they don't have the metrics available to measure their impact on a game's outcome. That's not true with kickers. We know exactly how much they impact a game. And the best kickers win games. There have been kickers who've helped win national titles. So it's a little odd that no place kicker is ever placed in the top 10 of the Heisman Trophy vote, considering how much of an impact that place kickers can have on a game. All the more reason to note that Matsuzawa has his Rainbow Warriors at 5-2, could be on their way to a bowl game. If you're a Heisman voter, you would certainly have to look very closely at what Matsuzawa has done at Hawaii, especially if he does end up breaking Bennett's 22-year-old NCAA record. Now, maybe he doesn't get there, but, you know, I'm just saying, keep your minds open, folks. We'll be right back to talk with the Tokyo Toe, and then we'll finish things off with CBSSports.com's Tom Fornelli. Take it away, Arch.
This is Archie Griffin, 1974, 1975's Heisman Trophy winner, and you're listening to the official Heisman podcast.
The Heisman is handed out every December, but the history of the trophy lives year-round at Heisman.com. Home to the most iconic trophy in sports, Heisman.com tells the story of all 90 of our winners and features news, bios, and statistics on all your favorite Heisman heroes. Heisman.com also highlights our Heisman humanitarians, the many charities supported by the Heisman Trust, and so much more. Make Heisman.com your first stop for all things Heisman.
The NCAA record for most field goals in a season is held by Billy Bennett of Georgia. In 2003, that total was 31. Currently, through 7 games, Kansei Matsuzawa of Hawaii has 19 out of 19 attempts. He is on pace to set the all-time NCAA record for field goals in a season, and we welcome him to the Heisman Trophy podcast. Welcome to the show, Kansei.
Thank you for inviting.
They call you the Tokyo Toe.
Yes.
Who gave you that nickname?
Me and my long snapper, Jack Mowley, was eating lunch together. And then he said, you're going to have a great season, so you have to have a nickname. And then we kind of talk about it. And then he found out the Tokyo Toe.
What do your friends back in Tokyo think about that?
I think they liked it. Yeah, but it's spread so fast. So
yeah.
Whatever fans like it. So, yeah, I love that.
I feel like, do people even shorten the name even further and just call you the Toe?
Yeah. Yeah, and like a toe, Toe, and a kill. So like
yeah.
Tokyo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's great. Okay, so Tokyo to America is a huge jump. You went to Ohio for junior college and then ended up in Honolulu. What was the hardest thing to adjust to? Was it football? Was it language? Was it daily life?
Definitely language is the hardest part. I couldn't speak English at all like 5 years ago. And kicking and English is self-taught. And, just being the patient is the most important thing for me. And I knew it was coming. So just hang out with my friend, play football, focusing on like what I can do right now. Yeah. And that helps me to catch up all the English skills.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable to learn it. I think you learned it over YouTube mostly, right?
Yeah, YouTube helps me a lot.
Were there specific channels that taught English for Japanese, or did you watch a lot of American TV shows or videos to kind of get a sense of the patterns?
Yeah, I watch a lot like American TV show. Like, yeah, those helps me. And also like I watch a lot of like NFL games and then just so I like talking about like football, but like anything else is kind of like.
So your football, you can speak football better than you can the rest of it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, better than anything.
Yeah. Before Hawaii, what was your sports background like in Japan?
I used to play soccer until high school, and so I kind of have like a kicking background. So that's why I chose to be a kicker.
What made you decide that you should be a football player and kick field goals in the United States?
First NFL games, I went to Oakland to watch my first NFL game in person. And that experience like kind of stuck with my head. And then I was like, oh, I want to be an NFL player. Like it's all of a sudden, just popped up in my head. And then I was already like 20 years old. So I was like, probably like kicker. I might be able to be an NFL player. I got to do it. Yeah. I bought the football and started practice myself.
It seems like a goal that would have been so hard to achieve considering your background and where you were and you were already 20. You must have an amazing determination and you must have really visualized what you wanted to do and made a plan. Is that right?
Yeah. Honestly, like ignorances kind of helps me. I had no idea about like football and college football. So, as soon as I decided my dream, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an NFL player one day. So just focusing on what I can do every single day. And I never doubt myself, just believe myself and every single day. And somehow they took 20 years old, like believe himself and then like can be an NFL player one day. So like that mindset hasn't like never changed since day one.
Well, the oldest player to win a Heisman Trophy was 28 years old. So you're still young enough. Speaking of that, when did you first learn about the Heisman Trophy?
Definitely like, so probably like 21 or 22. Yeah. Since I watched first college football game, and then I kind of getting learn about like college football.
Yeah, you heard them talking about it, and you kind of picked
Yeah,
it up.
yeah.
Who were some kickers in the NFL that when you first saw them kicking, you were like, "Wow, that guy has a great leg. That's something I can do."
I watch it a lot NFL kickers because like I said, like I taught myself. So the best kickers usually in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So like I wanted to learn from the best through YouTube. So like I watched a lot Jason Myers in Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, I think he's like pretty like fundamental, and that's why like I can apply his one fundamental to me, and I'm trying to imitate him like every single practice and like record myself watching it later, and just yeah.
How did you like the other aspects of American football, the pads and the helmet, and potentially you kick off, right? So you potentially would have to tackle someone. How do you like that whole aspect of football?
That's pretty cool. Like especially like kickoff. I'm enjoying the time with my teammates. My kickoff team is so good. So like whatever happens, they're gonna cover kick for me. So I just encourage my teammates and just tackle. You know, like I want to see huge tackle like by my teammates. So like, and then I'm gonna be a part of like a kickoff team. So I'm just like enjoying the time when I go to kickoff.
Yeah.
And also like I like the shoulder pads and helmets. I don't think I need it, but like, well, yeah, it's pretty cool.
So have you had to tackle a returner on the kickoff yet? Have you seen a player coming at you with his head down, getting ready to run through you?
A few times, yeah. Especially like when I was in junior college, I was like a kickoff kicker. So and then like I started kickoff through like it was like 2-3 weeks ago. So yeah, some guys like trying to like protect like blocking me. Yeah, it's fun.
What's the
makes me like I'm a football player.
Yeah, right. You get a little contact in there. What's the biggest difference between kicking a soccer ball and kicking a football for you?
Especially like for me, I stopped playing soccer and started kicking like football. I had like a 2 years gap, so I was not good at all. Like, and then like I was not shaped, so I kind of feel weird to kick football when I did it first time. But like getting like understand, like people trying to like leaning to the technique, like the whole thing about like the like people think like kicking soccer ball and then football is like different, but I think it's ultimately is like same. Kick as hard as you can. The power is nothing you can taught. So I was focusing on like kicking like as much as I can, and just like, and then like find the like comfortable like like the movement. How do I say it? It's like
the movement?
80 to like 90%. Not always like 100% is the best, but you got to do like 100% at the first time. So like I try to kick as much as hard as I can.
What was it like the very first time you tried to kick a field goal? How did that end up for you?
It was so bad. I was looking for the field that I can kick, and I didn't know what's gonna happen. Like I was so, it was so bad. It's only like goes like 15 yards.
Yeah,
it's not even like PAT.
Yeah. And then the first time you had to come out for a football game to kick, were you nervous? Did it feel weird being out on the field for the first time in front of crowds?
In Hawaii?
In the U.S., whether in junior college or at Hawaii?
Yeah, junior college. My first year, I didn't kick field goal. My second year, I did. It was all right. Like kind of like small town and nobody watching me. But like in Hawaii, it was, I was so, nervous.
Yeah, you had that the game-winning field goal against Stanford this year. Were you nervous before that kick? What were you thinking about as you lined up to try to win the game for Hawaii?
Oh yeah, that moment is so grateful for me, and like I was not nervous at all. Honestly, I practice a lot on and off the field, so I have confidence to make the field goal, and like just telling myself some positive affirmation and keywords, and that helps me to kick the game-winning field goal, and that was a amazing moment for me.
What are some of those keywords and affirmations that you use that you tell yourself when you're getting ready to kick?
I have three positive self-talking. First one is telling myself I am elite, and second one is focus on myself, and third one is I make this field goal. Just keep telling me, and yeah.
Well, you're 19 out of 19 so far this year. Your affirmations and your words are doing pretty well. But what does your weekly training look like for leg work, flexibility? Do you watch a lot of film of yourself and other kickers? What is your process for training for field goals?
I'm a very routine guy. I created routines and habits a lot off season, and also from last year. And I do a lot warm up before practice in the morning, and we had a meeting before practice. So in practice, I kind of limit myself to kick, especially in the season. So I don't kick much, but Tuesday I kick, Wednesday, Thursday off, and a Friday kick before game day. And Saturday, we expected we're gonna kick a lot kicks. So that's kind of my schedule. But I do a lot mental thing. I do twice in a week, especially in this, and those helps me. Yeah.
Have you ever had an opposing coach call a timeout before it's time for you to kick?
Yeah, twice I think. Stanford and some team. I see.
Did that timeout work on you? I know obviously you made the Stanford kick, but did it make you think more? Did it ruin your routine as far as what you typically do? Did it make it more difficult for you?
I don't think so. We're expecting they might, but if not, just executing my job one time. Our special teams coordinator, Coach Sheffield, told us, one shot, one kill. We only have one opportunity to perform. So whatever happens, and if I get extra kick, I just kick it. And if not, just focusing on doing my job one at a time.
We talked earlier about football language being tough to learn. What were some terms that took you some time to learn? When you hear your coaches talk and they bark at you, hey, go do this or go do that. What are some things that took you a while to figure out what they were saying?
The great thing, I'm a kicker, so coaches just told me kick field goal, make field goal.
But they leave you alone, right?
That's my first 2 years. I had no idea what the coaches said in junior college, and even I got here kind of overwhelmed a little bit because the difference at junior college and here, more meetings, more football. So I need to learn football 101, even when I got here UH. And Coach Sheffield, Coach Timmy teach me football 101 in person. So it's easily to understand what the football is. And also especially special teams meetings is gonna help me what the other player does on the field. So I'm a kicker, and then my job is making field goal. But I understand what the other players doing for special teams. So I appreciate it a lot to my teammates.
Are you a backup punter or anything like that? Do you do other things during special teams periods in practice?
Like I'm an emergency punter.
Emergency
so like,
punter,
I,
yeah.
like not even like a second string, but sometimes like work on like catches. Like
Mhm.
for punting, the catches is really important. Like hands thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do work like sometimes like
Yeah.
for emergency like situation.
Yeah. You're located in Hawaii, directly between the mainland U.S. and Japan. Seems like a perfect situation for you. It's not so hard to go back and see your family potentially, and then you could also go to the mainland. What's it like going to college in Hawaii and living the Hawaii lifestyle?
It's amazing, honestly. Like my family loves Hawaii, and then when I got offered from Coach Sheffield, I was like, "Is Hawaii the best place to play college football?" That was the like a biggest question for me,
Yeah.
because especially I was in Ohio, and then I wanted to come back mainland to play college football. But the biggest thing is not even like culture or food or like the Hawaii is the best place. It's the people in this building that coaches. The biggest reason why I chose UH
Hmm.
and Coach Sheffield and Coach Timmy is the uh, only coach that believe in me from the day one. It's not an easy thing. I barely speak English,
Yeah.
and I'm a Japanese. And then when I was recruited, I was in Japan, so there's a time difference.
Sure.
And it's not easy to recruit the kid like from Japan and just spend like 2 years in junior college.
Yeah.
But Coach Sheffield and Coach Timmy gave me so much love and show me what they can do it for me, and that's the biggest part. Like, oh yeah, like Hawaii is gonna be the place and play, and uh, and develop myself as a player and the person.
Does it help that you're a little bit older than most of your teammates? Like, do you think you could have done the same thing that you did, gone on this journey at 18, as opposed to being a bit older, being more mature? Do you think
Hmm.
that was a big factor that helped you?
Yeah, definitely. I started 20 years old, and then like I was like, this is gonna be my life. Being a football player for next 20 years, 40 years. I'm gonna live as a football player. So that was my mindset, and like nobody can ruin my life. Like I'm gonna make the goals, and like I'm gonna create my life. So
Yeah.
that was the mindset. So I think because I could do it. So any other Japanese player can do the same thing. Just have a strong mindset and like determination is gonna help it.
Sure.
Uh, like every single one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you if a kid in Japan wanted to be the next Tokyo Toe, what 3 simple tips would you give him?
uh, Important thing is like believe yourself. Just believe yourself, and I think that's the most important thing. And don't get like just uh, discipline. Uh, it's small things. It's all
Hmm.
small things, but like, uh, yeah, I think believing yourself is the biggest part, and
Yeah.
just yeah.
What do your family and friends in Tokyo think when they watch you kick? First of all, is it hard for them to find a streaming to be able to watch live? Do they come to the games, your family, very much? Or is it mostly, I assume it's, what is it, like almost 24 hours difference,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
19 hours. Yeah.
yeah. So how do they watch the games?
My family watched a game on the stream in Japan,
Hmm.
but like not many people knows how to watch my game in
Yeah.
Japan. It's I think Mountain West app
Hmm.
host the game every UH football game,
Yeah.
but like nobody knows how to watch it. So
Yeah.
kind of tough. But my family was here first 3 games, and then they watched the Stanford game. So it was a special moment for my family.
Nice. Do you have any message in Japanese you want to share with your family and friends back in Japan?
In Japanese,
Yeah.
okay. Uh, arigato. Ganbare yo. やっぱり行きます。
All right. Okay, big picture before we go. What are the rest of your goals this season? You're already off to an incredible start. And what is your goals after football?
Yes, I'm telling myself, I'm going to NFL, but like this is like kind of different thing. That's my dream, but like I'm a college football player right now, and then I want to focus on right now. So that's gonna lead to like my dream, but that my goal is this year is I make every single field goal, and so just telling myself that's the biggest goal, and that's gonna lead the future like dream. So the most important thing is just one by one and show up the field and then execute my job, and that's the biggest goal of the season. Yes.
Yeah. When the offense is driving down the field and they get into third down on 30-yard line on the other team's 30-yard line or so, and field goal alert, right? You have to be ready just in case. You have to come out. Are you? Everyone has I guess how do I say this? You want the offense to score a touchdown, sure, but do you secretly, when it becomes fourth down, are you like, this is great, I get to kick a field goal, or are you, you're not that upset that you get to kick, right?
I'm not upset. Yeah. I'm always like welcoming like kick field goal, like just if it's fourth down, like third down, I'm ready. Yeah. I'm always ready. So like, let me kick field goal, whatever like distance is, it's so enjoying the moment is like super beautiful. Like I think the kicking is the art. So like clearing by like 11 players, and especially like long snapper, holder, and kicker. So it's so like beautiful moment to kick field goal every single game day. Yeah.
You recently had a career-long 52-yarder. How long do you think you can kick a field goal? What's your range, do you think?
Like 60. Yeah, 60. I would say 60. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you ready to tell coach that you want to try a 60 if the chance comes?
Yeah. Coaches believes in me, so like I believe in myself. So the distance, when I need to kick like long field goal, I'm ready for it. And like one day, if I have a chance, I want to kick like longer field goal.
We look forward to seeing that. Kansei Matsuzawa, 19 of 19 field goals, the first field goal kicker to come on the Heisman Trophy podcast. We've talked to a punter, and you're the first field goal kicker because you've been so amazing this year. And the Tokyo Toe is certainly someone who is a real force to be reckoned with in college football. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a great story that was. Kansei Matsuzawa of the Hawai'i Rainbow Warriors, one of the best players in the country. Everybody coming to the show for the first time, please like, subscribe, review, rate, tell a friend, tell your family about the Heisman Trophy podcast. We feature the best players in the country, regardless of position, and it was a great treat to bring on this great place kicker. And we'll be back on the other side of the break with CBSSports.com's Tom Fornelli. Did you know that the Heisman Trophy Trust has donated more than $20 million to a huge variety of charity-based groups via its Heisman Trophy Fund for Youth Development? That's right. The fund has helped countless charitable organizations that uses sports to engage underprivileged young people in educational activities. If you are part of an organization or know of one that would like to apply for funding, visit Heisman.com and click on the charities link at the top of the site.
Hey guys, this is Barry Sanders, the 1988 Heisman Trophy winner, and you are listening to the official Heisman Trophy podcast.
All right, we're back on the Heisman Trophy podcast with the friend of the pod a friend of the pod, Tom Fernelli of CBSSports.com and the Cover 3 podcast. How's it going, Tom?
It's going well, going well. I'm happy to be back on the show. How have you been?
Doing great. It's, we're at mid-season and we're rounding into mid-season form in the show. So I thought it'd be a great time to bring you on and chop it up a bit. You have a piece out at CBS Sports today about the Penn State coaching job and the search for it and the prospects of Matt Rule potentially being the top candidate for the job. You don't think that's a good idea for Penn State. You have some other suggestions. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. Like, I think it's the most likely outcome, just based on all the connections between Rule and Penn State's athletic director, Pat Kraft, who worked together at Temple. It's just, I don't know if he's the best option. And it's funny because, like, I like Matt Campbell from Iowa State a lot. I think he makes a ton of sense for this gig. I think if you look at what he does as far as running a program, instilling a culture, and developing players, because he has not at Iowa State had access to the same caliber of player that James Franklin had all those years at Penn State as far as the 4 and 5 stars. But yet he's churned out NFL draft picks all the same, and in some situations at the same rate that Penn State has been doing. So I think if you were to give him access to that kind of recruiting talent, he would kill it. And I think Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri is somebody who, as we have seen, he's on the cusp of winning like 30 games in 3 seasons at Missouri. While in the SEC, that's not really very easy to do. And he's gotten great talent in the recruiting portal. He was a quick adapter to how NIL was going to work in this landscape and took advantage of it, as well as some of the state laws in Missouri as far as the ability to pay kids while they're still in high school to help increase that talent level. And I think that he's also an excellent offensive mind, which would be great for Penn State, because that's been the one thing that Penn State fans have been crying about the last few years, is they haven't been able to score points. That said, like, Matt Rule would probably be a pretty decent hire too. I just have more questions because he's never been anywhere longer than 3 years. So we haven't seen his ability to sustain it. But it's funny because it's like, the more I think about it, when you try to compare potential replacements to James Franklin, and it's like, well, they did this at the same level as Franklin, or maybe not quite at the same level as James Franklin. It's like, it turns out James Franklin was pretty good at his job. That's why he was there for 12 years. Yeah. And it's hard to sit there and be like, all right, we're going to find a replacement for James Franklin who's a clear upgrade, because I don't know how many of those guys exist.
He's like the Bo Pelini with Nebraska, where it's like, man, we'd kill to have those records now, say the Nebraska fans. I have a question about coaching searches in context of what you're talking about. And I know that looking at situations with coaches, like did he do more with less? How did he handle? Did he bring in talent? And so on and so forth. And I feel like these are still vestiges of the old system, the before times in college football. And I think we've seen a lot of coaches who, under the previous system, were great at those things. And now they've been brought over, like we crossed from black and white into Technicolor. And now it's how good are you at quickly crafting a team from the portal and getting them all to play together, getting them to focus on, real goals. You're trying to convince kids who are now, in some cases, very wealthy to have the same level of motivations and ability to mesh with the team that they would have had before. So you have to have a coach who's very good at handling all these things. But we have very little time, because it's only been a few years, to really assess which coaches are truly the best at that. Because you look at Kurt Cignetti at Indiana, and immediately you think, oh man, he's great at doing this. Well, he is so far, because things are going to, things are always changing, and there might be a sudden shift in the calculus in a year or two. So isn't that really the hardest part about hiring a coach these days? If you're an athletic director, it's like, maybe you just go off the old metrics, because that's just, all things being equal, that's the best way to do it. But with all these other variables coming into the equation, doesn't it seem like you could get a coach and be great in year one, or you could be horrible and then be great in year two? It seems like now, right?
It's different. Like, I've taken a lot of heat from Penn State fans this week, because I was on our show earlier in the week after, James Franklin was fired. And, a lot of fans, Penn State, want to go get Cignetti. And my point was, I don't know that Cignetti's going to be as eager to leave Indiana for Penn State, because based on where he is right now, he might not consider that a clear step up. And that's like, to a Penn State fan, that's like, what in the heck are you even talking about? Clearly, Penn State's a better football program than Indiana. And it's like, to your point, yeah, in the black and white days when like tradition and all that kind of stuff mattered, for sure. But now we're in an era where the most important things you can have in a program aren't your history or tradition. It's money. And it's the ability to identify and develop talent. And I think that's the one thing. Like, we're talking about coaching hires. College football is moving much closer to an NFL kind of model, to where if you think about how things work in the NFL, everybody's got coaches, but it's the general managers who are in charge of putting together the rosters for those coaches to use. And I think you're seeing us move more to that model in college football, whereas it's going to be the roster you're putting together more than it's going to be the coach on the sideline. So I think that one of my concerns, like especially with the Penn State and Matt Rule thing, is I think James Franklin deserves a lot of credit for what he did at Penn State, because I think when he took that program over, he took over a Penn State program that was kind of stuck in the past. And he dragged it kicking and screaming into the modern era of college football.
Right.
And now I think that they fired James Franklin, they might dive right back into that era that he dug them out of by going after Rule and trying to like rekindle the Joe Pa magic, which I just don't think works anymore.
Nostalgia is a sick drug.
Yeah. So I think that is one of those weird things where it's like, clearly Penn State is the best available job right now. And you would think that they are going to have their pick of candidates. It's just, I don't know how many of those candidates are interested in leaving where they are, because as we're seeing, like, just look at the AP poll this week. We've got Texas Tech in the top 10. Ole Miss is in the top 10. Indiana's up in the top 2. These are all programs that are not what you would consider traditional powers, but they are programs who have, since this NIL stuff took over, really adapted to it quickly and done a very good job of churning their roster to make sure that they have the best players available to them, whether it's through the portal or high school recruiting, and it's paying immediate dividends. Like, the difference between these jobs is not nearly as wide as they were just 3 or 4 years ago.
The barrier to entry for these programs to be successful is a lot lower than before. And you're starting to see, we see this with Cignetti going, bringing all these guys from James Madison. In the last episode of the show, we talked to Ferris State Division II head coach Tony Anise, and he had 8 players that were brought up to FBS, more than any. I mean, they're going to probably win their 4th title out of 5 this year, so they're the best that D2 has to offer. And he said there's probably like 30 to 40 guys in D2 who are going up to FBS every year. And I think this is also another area that is going to perhaps, like Cignetti knows that terrain on which he can bring guys up from that area, and he really knows those players, or at least in the time that he has the connections, right? So it's like, maybe that's also a new thing to mine these lower divisions for players, because I feel like you see a few here and there, but it's not really like a real big thing yet. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing, or at least what the portal is kind of laying bare, is that we were always so focused on high school recruiting, because that had been forever what the key was to. If you wanted to compete for national titles, you had to get the best high school players and develop them. But I think that what we kind of overlook is that a 21-year-old who's been playing at the G5 level for 3 years is basically the equivalent of a 4 or 5-star freshman.
Absolutely.
They might not have as high of a ceiling, but they've already kind of hit what you're hoping that freshman you're recruiting out of high school will develop into. So I do think, there's certainly a market inefficiency at whether it's from the G6 level or even the FCS level and the D2 level. There are players that, as you age, like just physically, you become more mature. The reps, I think, help because you've seen more snaps. And I think, obviously, if you're bringing in, like, Trinidad Chambliss has been great for Ole Miss, but I do think he's going to be more of an exception, because there is a difference in the speed of the game from like the D2 level to what you're going to be facing in the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC. So there is that kind of adjustment. But I just think, like, football's football. Like, and if you've got experience playing it, like a senior from a lower level is going to be more valuable to you than some 17-year-old kid who hasn't played at the college level at all, even if he's a highly rated player, with a few exceptions.
Yeah. And I think also one thing that we're still feeling is, I don't think even on college football level, societal level, the impact that COVID had on it still distorts. There are entire classes that were not properly evaluated because of COVID. And these are a lot of the guys that ended up being not highly rated because of that, and they ended up at these quote unquote smaller schools, and then shined there, and then were able to come up maybe to what they probably would have been had they been properly evaluated. But doesn't it seem like COVID is still being felt on the margins? Don't you think?
Oh, for sure. I think I don't think people truly understand the impact that had on college football for the last 5 years because like you said, the recruiting stuff, getting these kids who were mostly in their high school football programs were shut down for playing, which makes it very hard to evaluate a player when he's not actually playing football.
Yeah.
And you saw like the top recruits in those classes had a much higher bust rate than you would typically see in any other class, where a lot of guys kind of slipped through the crack far more than usual. But then also with the COVID rules of eligibility, giving all these guys extra years, and then you tack on the transfer portal, like the last few years of college football, it's like, hey, whoever has the most 23 and 24-year-olds, those are the teams to look out for because they're going to be really good. And now we're kind of transitioning back to where, okay, we're getting back to actually college-aged kids that we're used to seeing. But even though the eligibility rules may be changing now in the near future, maybe we're seeing, 5 years to play 5. I don't know what they're going to go to. It's just, I do think COVID, like the results of the 2020 season, I do not care about at all. I don't think anything that
I don't even
remember
that. I don't even remember that year.
No, it's like you'll hear like James Franklin had, however many winning seasons except for 2020. And it's like, I don't need you to tell me except for 2020 because nothing that happened that year counts.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at the results, it was the most odd season of all time. But there has still been an impact as far as how rosters are built from that has just not gone away yet. And I still think we're probably like, I don't know, maybe Diego Pavia will figure out a way to keep playing for another 10 years. Who knows? But it's going to be probably at least another year before we're finally through that and we kind of get back to where it was before COVID.
Yeah, for a couple of brief shining moments, we were all BYU. Power rankings. Over at CBSSports.com, there's a couple power rankings that go on. You have one of them. And I was thinking about it, looking at the rankings, and I kind of want to, I don't have any real beef, but I just want to present some beef as if it was real beef. Why isn't Indiana the number one team in the country? Because it's the setup with Oregon. I feel like the setup going into Oregon was, this is an Oregon team that is, everyone, I would say, considers Oregon a top 3 team as far as talent goes. It's an eyeball test thing a lot of times with them. And they'd been highly, rightfully highly touted, but maybe some doubts started to seep in after Penn State collapsed, right? So maybe that Penn State win doesn't look so great. But you beat Illinois by 53.
Yes.
And you
Thanks
and
for
you
that
go,
reminder, by the way.
Sorry about that. But you beat Illinois by 53. You go into Oregon, which is just a really tough place to play. Mm-hmm. And you like handle them in a way they haven't been handled. Right. And and you do it like really, to me, I thought was very impressive. They just controlled the game. They were just better. And so then you go back, and to me, they have a better resume than Ohio State does. But the argument with Ohio State is, well, they passed the eyeball test. Like we know that they have all this talent. And so we're assuming therefore that they deserve to be number one. And I know it's more like this. It's like the number one is based on, we think they're going to end up being the best team by the end because of this talent. And we know that they're developing because they have these young guys, blah, blah, blah. But so it's like, it seems like it's inconsistently applied, like this eyeball test, right? Because Indiana just beat a team that passed the eyeball test pretty convincingly, but the team that hasn't done as well in the resume passes the eyeball test, so they get to be number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I have my power ratings up on the site. I have Ohio State 1 and Indiana 2, but those are that's like the predictive kind of gambling power ratings where I'd have Ohio State favored just based on the numbers that I use. But as far as like the AP poll and like that kind of resume ranking, I definitely think Indiana deserves a little more credit than it's getting from the pollsters. And I think a part of that is still just kind of the way brand bias works, in that Ohio State's the defending national champion, and there are some voters who have had them at number one all year, and they're not going to knock them down until they give them a reason to. And since they haven't lost, they're not going to do it. But I do think there's certainty to the fact that if you take Indiana and you put the Michigan helmet on them in the Michigan uniform, I bet you they're getting a lot more first place votes than they got this week in the poll after going on the road to beating Oregon. Because that's the thing. Like you mentioned how difficult it is to play there, because like Oregon's a very good team. Like I know that they just lost, but they're really freaking good. And Indiana beat them, and not in a fluky way. They went to Autzen. They dealt with the crowd noise. They had 6 or 7 false starts, so they certainly weren't perfect. But they outplayed Oregon for 60 minutes. It's not as if Oregon was shooting itself in the foot and making a bunch of mistakes and giving Indiana chances. It's like Indiana threw a pick six. I mean, if I tell you that Fernando Mendoza is going to throw a pick six at Autzen against the Ducks, you don't think Indiana's winning that football game. You figure, oh God, they probably
much
got
less by
blown
10.
out.
Yeah.
So it's like they're very, very good. And I think that they're just never going to get that credit until they start doing it every single time. Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
The one knock against them was, last year they didn't beat any ranked teams. And it's this year they've beaten one ranked team by 53. And then they just beat a top 5 team on the road by 10.
But let's see what they do when they play. It's always there's always that next thing they have to overcome.
The goalposts get moved and moved and moved. And I just think I've been writing it. I wrote it after the Illinois win. It's everybody spent all off season trying to look for the next Indiana. Who's going to be this year's Indiana? Who's going to be this year's Indiana? And when I was interviewing Elijah Surratt at Big Ten Media Days, I asked him, I said, everybody's looking for next year's Indiana. Why aren't you guys this year's Indiana? And he just looked at me and he said, man, I don't know. He says, I think we're still pretty good. And guess what? They are still very good. In fact, I would say they're better than last year's Indiana, this year's Indiana.
Just on they're better, seem to be better defensively. Incredible linebackers. Their quarterback is better. Their quarterback could be the first pick in the draft. And the receiving core is a veteran group that makes plays. So they're just a very balanced team. And I know that that with rankings, a lot of times they look at the resume, right? But it just seems like there's just this asterisk that's always available for Ohio State, which is kind of funny because we talk about until the standards, the goalposts being moved, but Michigan always beats Ohio State. That's what we've come to understand. So if that's the case, then Ohio State's going to lose to Michigan this year, or at least we would not be surprised if it happens, right? Because that's just what happens in that rivalry. So if we all acknowledge that Ohio State could very well easily lose to Michigan, then it just strikes me as odd that they are just this, not unanimous, but pretty much a consensus number one, given what Indiana's done.
Agreed.
Yeah. So not to belabor that point anymore, but real quick on the brand thing, this is coming from a USC guy. I'm very curious about the perception out there about USC. I know that a lot of people have looked at Lincoln Riley in the last couple of years at USC. There's been sort of, they've not lived up to the touting, the rankings that they had been given preseason. And so to some extent, it's a little bit of a show me, right? But there are 14 5-1 teams in the top 25, and USC is ranked 11th out of that. So it's the concept of the brand having any pull doesn't seem to apply to this team. And so if you say, well, it's because USC has disappointed in recent years, well, then I direct you to Texas A&M is number 4, and they're perennial disappointment. Ole Miss is number 5, and Kiffin may get over the hump this year, but he hasn't yet. Oklahoma is the poster boy for not being living up to its blue blood status these last several years, and they're 5-1 and ranked 14, and USC is 5-1 and ranked 20. And so I'm just curious, what is the most rational explanation for why the brand that is USC is not powerful enough to overcome the doubts that schools with lesser brands seem to be given the benefit of the doubt on?
I think there's 2 things at play here. One is the West Coast bias kind of thing, where a lot of the voters just aren't staying up late enough to watch some of these games.
Yeah.
And so they put in their ballots and it's they're not really watching USC. And I think the other part is, and SEC fans take this as me saying I hate the league. I don't.
We know you do. You told me on a text before we came here that you hate them, literally.
I did. It's just I was like, oh God, I hope we don't talk SEC. That's the only demand I make to come on the show. But I think the SEC is very, very good. I also think it has a giant hype machine megaphone behind it that convinces people it's far better than it actually is, which is still very, 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 very good.
Right.
And I think you see that. So anytime an SEC team gets off to a 5-0 start, well, they've got to be one of the 10 best teams in the country.
They're one of the top 3 leagues.
Yeah. So I think that plays a fact. But going back to USC, that was the most impressive game I've seen from them since they joined the Big Ten the other night when they beat Michigan.
Right.
Because I feel like you go into that game, you're missing your starting center, you're missing your starting left tackle, you're missing roughly 455 of your running backs who are all just banged up, and you've got a walk-on pretty much doing all the heavy lifting for
Who's
you.
their best back? But
Yeah, I hope. I was joking around afterwards, but I was kind of serious. I was like, Lincoln better put that kid on scholarship after that
Man.
performance against Michigan.
Absolutely.
But they dominated Michigan along the lines of scrimmage. And it's like a couple weeks earlier when they were on the road against Illinois, like I saw Illinois' offensive line pushing that defensive front around. And I just loved the way that they responded against Michigan. And they dominated that game in the line of scrimmage, and they beat Michigan. Now, the next step for me, for USC, is they're going on the road to play Notre Dame. And they don't need to beat Notre Dame for me to think that they're a good team. But there has been a marked difference between Lincoln's teams at home at USC versus when they go on the road. They have struggled. Like we saw them lose to Minnesota last year, and they just have not played to the same level.
Yeah.
What they brought against Michigan Saturday night, I want to see them bring it at South Bend. If they do win or lose, I'm going to be like, all right, no, this team has finally turned the corner to where I think they're going to be in that playoff hunt in the Big Ten year in and year out.
Now, if Jaden Maiava were to have a huge game against Notre Dame and lead the Trojans to a victory there, do you think he is suddenly right in the thick of the Heisman race?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, because he's already got the numbers.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing he's currently missing is like, since Michigan is not the Michigan of 2 years ago, playing well against them is not going to be the kind of marquee win that he needs to truly grab the national attention, to where he's with guys like, Fernando Mendoza is getting it. Ty Simpson's going to be getting it. Carson Beck's going to be getting it. If he goes on the road and beats Notre Dame in South Bend, he jumps probably right to the head of the pack. If he throws for 320 and 4 touchdowns, unless Mekhi Lemon catches 285 of those yards and all 4 of the touchdowns, I think Jaden would jump to the lead.
Speaking of that, what are your criteria when you look at the Heisman Trophy? You're a Heisman voter for several years now. What do you look at things as the season goes on and keep notes, or take mental stock of things, have a general thing, and then you bore down at the end, or do you just look at the end and kind of go back and do a retrospective? What's your policy for your ballot?
I don't have like a fit kind of like set parameters for what I do, but it's like, it's I'm tracking it all year. And I do think that for me, I want to see you like, you don't need to be on a national title contender. You don't it helps because I think that just puts you in the spotlight more. But for my personal ballot, I like to see like strong performances consistently. And I also like to see guys who kind of rise to the occasion in their bigger games. And when I say bigger games, I mean, even if you're playing if you're a Memphis quarterback and you are playing to get that G6 playoff spot, and there are some big games that you have to face, even if they're not the biggest game of the week, if your best games are the ones where your team has to absolutely have that win to give themselves a chance to accomplish their goals, that means a lot to me when it comes together to putting together my ballot, not just what your actual stats are. So it's consistency, the numbers, and stepping up when your team needs you the most.
Right. If John Mateer had not had the game that he had against Texas, if he hadn't had the 3 picks, say if he had a very pedestrian game, what if he was 12 of 21 for 132 yards, but he led the team to a win off of a broken hand or broken thumb or whatever it was he had exactly, but he wasn't impressive. Would that have been something that you would have credited him for as a Heisman contender?
Yeah. I mean, I think coming back from that surgery, and then if you don't play great, like I didn't expect John Mateer to be great in that game. And I honestly and I hate this because it's the reality of the situation. But like when you look at the way that the playoff works now, like there's a strong argument to be made that Oklahoma should have just sat him, because at least that way, if you lose the game, you can tell the committee at the end of the year, well, we didn't have our starting quarterback, so it doesn't really count.
Right.
But I love the fact that he played. And I love the fact that he knew how big that game was for his team. So yes, had he been able to do that, then that would have meant something to me, even if the numbers themselves overall in that game weren't super high. Unfortunately for him and the Sooners, he made some bad decisions that really ended up hurting his team in that spot. And that will be something that is noted towards the end of the year too. Like if he just starts feasting on the lower teams left on Oklahoma's schedule, though thinking of Oklahoma's schedule off the top of my head, I don't know how many easy games they have left. If I recall correctly, they got a difficult schedule from here on out. So
would you say then that, would you call Fernando Mendoza the leader in the clubhouse now when it comes to the Heisman Trophy?
He is for me. And it's funny because you mentioned like the numbers overall. Like if you go to the road game to Iowa, his numbers weren't very good. But there was one play in that game where his running back, Roman Hemby, completely whiffed on a blitzing linebacker. And Mendoza saw it the entire time. He saw the linebacker bearing down on him, but he also knew that the guy he was looking at needed about another 2 seconds to get open, and he was going to hit him for a big play. And he just stood there and I can't remember which linebacker it was, but he let him bear down on him, got rid of the ball at the very last second, took a helmet right to the chin, and delivered a perfect throw. And those are like those kind of moments. Like typically the Heisman moments are like Lamar leaping somebody, like hurdling. And it's like those. But for me, that's like a holy crap Heisman moment, because that is just something most guys don't do. And that's how important it was for him. He understanding he needed to make that throw. His team needed that play. They needed that first down because they needed to get out of there with the win. Yeah. So the fact he was willing to stand there and take that shot, that means the world to me.
Yeah. You know, he's been great. I also look at the last half of his schedule. It's not like the hardest, they've gotten through the harder part of the schedule for them. So he can just, in theory, go and lead the team to an undefeated season and have great numbers. And, if Coach Cignetti wants to, he might at some point say, hey, I can get this guy the Heisman. So let's start throwing the ball up there a bit. But, it's funny. What I'm really looking for a Heisman campaign from Indiana that utilizes the Simpsons character McBain, because there's a great clip where he goes, Mendoza.
Did you know if you go through all the McBain clips through every Simpsons episode, it's actually one story? It's
Is it really?
I saw it on YouTube. Maybe you could find it. It's all the McBain clips just clipped next to each other, and it's got a whole narrative throughout the whole thing, which I'd never realized while watching the show growing up.
Wow!
But it turns out that's the case.
My mind is blown. That's great. Well, Tom Fornelli, thanks for coming on the show. Great catching up with you, and great getting your insights on the current state of college football at the midseason point of 2025. And have a good rest of the year.
You too. Thank you for having me on. I always enjoy my time here.
Cheers. Not many people know college football like Tom Fornelli. Hope you enjoyed that discussion. Many thanks goes out to Derek Anucci of the University of Hawaii for setting up Kansei Matsuzawa. Man, what a cool story that was. Just goes to show you it doesn't matter where you're from. It matters what you do. Doesn't matter what language you speak. It just matters what you have to say. Hope everyone has a great week, and we will see you next time on the Heisman Trophy Podcast. The Heisman Trophy Podcast streams every Wednesday during the college football season and is hosted, produced, edited, and engineered by Chris Houston. The pod is available on all streaming networks, including Spotify and Apple Music, and features video interviews and bonus content on YouTube and TikTok. We also have a Reddit community. Special shout out to Isaac Lowenkron, and big thanks to Rob Whalen, Tim Henning, and the Heisman Trust for their support. Reach out to us via email at pod@heisman.com for feedback and commentary.